Massive ground and air search for a 6-year-old Colorado boy is over. Did you see this thing today? Well, the boy caused a panic after authorities say he untied a helium balloon, a big one, that was attached to his home. Now, we followed this story live as it unfolded at noon. At first, authorities thought the boy had floated off inside the homemade aircraft. Leanne Gregg has the story.
I saw her yelled at him.
It's the outcome the family had hoped for. 6-year-old Falcon Henny in his father's arms after a harrowing day.
Scared the heck out of us.
It started around 11 this morning when an experimental balloon unexpectedly took off from the Henny family home. Parents and investigators fearing the worst, that their son was inside.
The only thing I could think of was that he had fallen out. And so I had to retract back in my mind, did he fall out or...
For 2 hours, over a distance of 50 miles, the runaway balloon led rescuers across the state as it rose thousands of feet in the air, at times dipping dramatically. As the balloon soared, it continued to lose helium and finally came down in an open field with the boy nowhere in sight. Hours later, searchers found Falcon at the family's home, hiding in a box in an attic above the garage of the family's home, possibly hiding from the commotion surrounding the search.
You know, the fact that he was found in a box, in the attic, in the garage, rather suggests that.
The confusion began after Falcon's 9-year-old brother told investigators he saw Falcon climb into the balloon before it took off. Now the family is breathing a sigh of relief tonight, reunited as authorities investigate how the balloon was able to take off with no one on board. Leanne Gregg, KCRA 3 reports.
And joining us now for more on that wild balloon chase that played out on national TV is Captain Jim Doucette. He's with Sac City Fire. And Captain, thanks for joining us today.
No problem. Glad to be here.
Well, listen, I know you guys always plan for a wide array of contingencies. This one's pretty unusual. So someone in your business, how do you approach this? What would you guys have done?
Well, just watching what I did today on TV, I think they approach it the right way. You're not going to really be able to, you know, they were basing everything as though there was a child in that balloon. There's nothing you can really do except for probably let the balloon do what it does naturally, and that's just come down to earth on its own. We talked about maybe having a helicopter try to approach it or something, but you always risk the rotor wash, maybe even collapsing the balloon. So yeah, it's a tough one. It's very difficult.
So based on what you know and what your people have been telling you, it would have been difficult, if maybe just downright impossible, to try and intercept that balloon in flight?
Yeah, I think I mean, I believe they were following it, obviously. They didn't want it to get out of their sight, and that's really about all you could do. I'm not an expert when it comes to aircraft by any stretch. I just don't really know what they could have done to somehow, you know, get close enough to that balloon, with the exception of maybe having another balloon chase it somehow, but that's probably impossible.
Yeah, and what were you guys thinking as this whole drama was playing out today?
Personally, I was just really concerned if there was a young guy in there that he would survive, and thank God that, you know, it was all false alarm, but that's what my concern was, that he just, you know, hopefully if he was in there that he would land safely and be okay.
Yeah, and well, while I have you here, because I know you guys run on so many calls, and some calls turn out to be false, and this one in a way turned out to be false in that the boy wasn't on board, but it still triggered a lot of emergency response crews. And just again, with what you do for a living, just your feeling about putting all of these people on this emergency that turned out to be wasted time, really.
Well, it's a catch-22. I mean, obviously, it appeared to me that they, at some point in the whole thing, that they thought they had a child in there. So you got to give it your best shot. Right. But we go on these types of calls. I mean, daily we go on false alarms to fire alarms in buildings that aren't, you know, there's no fire. That's just what we have to do. We can't take any chances, and if we did nothing, then we'd really be in trouble. So I think they really handled it the best way they could have, and I'm just, you know, it's a great ending to this story, obviously.
Yeah, no, I guess I was getting at is that should the family be held responsible for some of the cost incurred by the search today?
You know, that's an attorney's question, I guess. Something an attorney could, I mean, my opinion, I guess I can give you that is, if they did this on purpose or something, yes, by all means. But if it was simply, you know, the kids were playing, or maybe he didn't want to get caught or something, you know, I don't think so.
Yeah, okay. Captain Jim Doucette with Sac City Fire, and Captain, thanks for giving us your opinion on this today.
No problem. Thanks for having me.